The Blood Path.
Hello and welcome to Plan Path Podcast today, your choice hub for conversations in education. The show is brought to you by Plan Path Consult, your number one place for trainings, counseling, research development, instructional design, news, and everything education. You can reach Plan Path on any of our social media platforms at Plan Path Consult. You can also speak to us via email planpath@gmail.com. Alright, today is a book review day. We're discussing the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John C. Maxwell. The tagline for the book is Leave them and reach your potential. So would say the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Leave them and reach your potentials. John C. Maxwell. Alright, so this is John says I'm excited about this book, honestly. And very importantly, this is something that I've actually practiced myself as well. Okay, the first this is his third book about laws, the laws of this, the laws of that. The first book about laws was the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. That was about helping leaders to understand leadership and just basically becoming better leaders. Then we had next the 17 indisputable laws of teamwork. The 17 indisputable laws of teamwork. That was basically also to help people understand teamwork and develop stronger teams. So this book, this 15 invaluable laws of growth, is about personal growth. It helps you understand how personal growth works and helps you to be effective and just to reach your potentials as an individual. Then when you say potential, so you understand, people would ask you what potential is. Potential is basically bringing out your inner self so that you are fulfilled. John C. Maxwell was talking in this book, in the introduction, he was talking about his friend Florence. She's an author, and then in her book Silver Box, she said that her father wanted to be a singer, but he never did that while he was alive. Kind of like the music died with him. The music died with him. And there's also something I learned from somewhere else that says that is a quote. He said that musicians don't retire. They only retire when there's no more music in them. There's a quote by Oluwatosin Mugwadunade that says that educators and teachers, they don't retire too. They retire only when there's no more love in them. So you understand what you're saying? This book is about ensuring that that inner potential that is within you, you don't die with it. You continue expressing it, and that's the way personal growth works. There's really no holiday to it. You keep growing, you keep learning. Okay, so there for every book, for every material, it comes with a prescription, even every medication. So this is actually how to make the most of this book. Johnson Maxwell encourages us to pick a law per week, and this and when you pick the law, you read it, you take a chapter a week, you read it, then you discuss it with your friends. You do the reflection exercises, the application exercises, then you keep a growth journal. That's something to help you measure where you were last week, what you're doing now. You understand, your it's like your responses to the reflection questions and the actions you're taking every day. Then very importantly, the real magic is not just hearing it. Just don't just be a hearer, don't just be a listener. The important thing is that you're putting everything you have learned into action, into your daily life. You understand? Then you can actually listen. You can you can reach your highest potentials. Okay, so for example, so what we're going to do on the podcast is that we're going to release the laws one after the other, week in, week out. You understand? So the essence is that what you learn this week, before you come back to the next podcast, you understand, practicalizing what you learned the previous week, and that way I think we are going to get a very good result. And this is a very good time to, you understand, It's still the early time of the year. This is a very good time to assess ourselves and put all of the work together in personal growth. So this week we are discussing law one of the 15 invaluable laws of growth. It says that law one is the law of intentionality. The tagline for that is growth does not just happen. Law of intentionality. So let's go on a quick commercial break. We'll be right back to discussing the first law of intentionality in detail. Stay with me, we'll be right back.
The Blonde Path.
Hello, welcome back. All right, so it's Plant Path Podcast. Today we're discussing the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. It's a book by John C. Maxwell. So this week we are discussing Law 1. We already said just a few seconds ago, that the best way to enjoy this book is to pick a law per week, listen, apply it into your daily life, and you'll be amazed at the results you see over time. Okay, with the law of intentionality. So listen to this quote. He says, "Life is in session. Are you present?" It's like the way in school now. In school, say present. Oh, Tosin, Oluwatosin Mugwadande present. Eji Kemem, Cindy present. John Ron present. Martin Luther present. You understand? So that's the way life is calling to you. Is beckoning at you that I'm in session. Things are going on in the world. Are you present? Are you ready to be an active participant in what is going on in life at the moment? Okay, let's just go over a little some reflection questions. And while I was reading, these were things that I personally started asking myself, and you should too. You should start asking yourself things like, do I have a plan for personal growth? So ask yourself, do you have a plan for personal growth? So when you say personal growth, people are like, oh yeah, I'm attending a conference, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. The whole activity field, everybody just doing things here and there and all of that. Beware of the fact that you need to be sure that your plan, your answer to the question of do you have a plan for personal growth is not just filled with activity. Make sure that you're really, really improving, That's very important. Then hope is not a strategy, honestly. Oh, hope is not strategy. Like when Nigerians say ego better, it is not a strategy at all. Just sitting and just waiting that by some imaginary chance the universe will be nice to you, and then you will now maybe grow. At all, that is not the way to it in any way. So you need to, when you are asking yourself the question of you having a plan for personal growth, you need to start asking personal specific questions. How do I get better at what I do? How do I improve my relationship? How do I get more wisdom? How do I gain insight? How do I overcome obstacles? What are the practical things that I need to do? You understand what I'm saying? On the other hand, you also need to note that there's something that John C. Maxwell said in the book that really, really touched me. He said that if you focus on goals, you may hit your goals, but that does not guarantee growth. If you focus on your goals, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, you may actually reach those goals, but it's not a guarantee that you're actually growing. But the truth is that if you focus on growth, you would really grow and you would always hit your goals. So I think that the foolproof way is just to really focus on your growth. James Harlan said in his book As a Man Thinketh, he says, people are anxious to improve their circumstances, but are unwilling to improve themselves. They therefore remain bound. Makes a lot of sense. People are anxious to improve their circumstances, but are unwilling to improve themselves. They therefore remain bound. So a lot of people are like, oh, I want to do better at this, and better at this. But the real magic is you. The real magic is personal growth. The real magic is ensuring that you're growing. And there's a concept in the book called growth gaps. Basically, it looks like, oh, where am I at the moment? Honest evaluation to say, where are you in this area, in that area of your life? Then you now start asking yourself questions. Okay, so where do I want to see myself in the next, say, 12 months, 10 months, 6 months, 3 months, 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 days? So the growth gaps will now be the things I need to do between now, you understand, to be the growth gaps is now what I need to do between now and where I am going to, you understand, like between where I am and where I'm going to, that growth gap. So you now need to start figuring out how to fill those gaps. What do you need to do, you understand? So Josie Maxwell spoke about 8 growth traps, 8 misconceptions about growth that may be holding you back from growing. And really, this is really where the thing is. This is the time where we get to reflect on the show together, and then you start asking yourself questions that, where am I really, like, am I there? You understand? So number one growth trap that you need to be aware of, avoid, work on if you're already in those trap is number one, the assumption gap. I assumed that I would automatically grow. This one is so hilarious to me. In my mind, I was like, Imu. Imu is a Nigerian term that just means like, I'm watching you, keep deceiving yourself. What you're saying is really, really unrealistic. You know, when we're children, the way it just seems normal that you just grow. I mean, if you don't have any disability, it's just normal for you to see a 1 year old child. Before you know it, the child is growing, the child can walk and all of those things, meeting milestones, and then the child is growing taller. You understand all of those things. But then, usually as adults, we now carry that mentality into our life as adults and assume that the way we grew physically, I mean bodily growth, physical growth, is now the same way we'll now be growing mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and all of those things in adulthood. But really, you need to ditch that belief because real growth, personal growth, emotional growth, mental growth, spiritual growth, psychological growth does not just happen. It's not, the universe does not ditch it on your laps and just say take growth. It doesn't happen. You have to you have to be very intentional about growth. Remember that we're talking about the law of intentionality here. And one case in point that we really need to be careful about is careful of is the fact that while we were in school, there's a way formal education is set in stone, it's been done over years, and there's a plan for you. Oh, once you come to school day one, you're supposed to learn this. When you learn this, you're supposed to take test and this. And at the end of the academic process, formal education process, you probably, like, at least you should have attained some level, you understand, some height in your development or in any skill or anything you were going to learn. But then after school, it seems like everybody just leaves you, and the world expects you to take responsibility for your personal growth, which you must, because after you leave school, there's no teacher that's going to chase you down. There's nobody that's going to chase you to do your professional exams. There's nobody that will chase you down to read. There's nobody that would chase you down to listen to a podcast like this. For example, someone was talking to me. I was like, your book review for Will by Will Smith is about 58 minutes. I looked, as a person just had an attitude that is long. I looked at her, I was like, okay, um, 58 minutes. Do you know how many hours it took to read the book? Number one, for personal purpose. Then now read the book to summarize it for the show. Then now sit down and do a book review. If you really feel 58 minutes is so long for you, maybe you're not really part of our target audience, really. Maybe you're not. Maybe maybe you're not so serious about personal growth as you thought, because dedicating 58 minutes to your well-being, to your personal growth should not be anything to you. So, and that is the point, really. Take ownership for your growth process in all ways. There's a quote by Michel the Montagnier. He says, no wind favors him who has no destined path. Nigerians will say that if you don't have anywhere to go, anywhere belle face na road. So if you really don't have a growth plan, you are just on your own. You're just doing your thing. The truth is that personal growth has to be your tangible target is something that you should be aiming towards. That's the number one growth gap. The eight we're discussing 8 growth gaps in this, what they call it, in this chapter. The second growth gap is the knowledge gap. I don't know how to grow. I hear a lot of people saying this. In fact, there's a quote by a designer, he's also an artist and a consultant. He's called Loretta Staples. The person says, if you are clear with what you want, the world responds with clarity. If you're clear with what you want, the world responds with clarity. Many people just just live their life maybe in the by and by. Things will happen, they will learn their lessons and all of that. But those things are not, that's not the way to be intentional, that's not the way to be strategic. You need to have a better plan in your growth. You need to be very intentional about your growth. You need to decide what you want to be, how you want to grow, what you want to be like, what your end process should be like on a particular plan. We already said that personal growth is a lifelong thing. You need to choose what you will learn, then you follow through with the discipline. So in this book, John Maxwell was saying that some years ago, when he became a pastor in a church, and he needed to really work on his growth at the time. So one of the things he learned was, and this growth kit that someone was selling to him was quite expensive. It was about $700 and something, and that was his whole salary for a month. Imagine telling you to come and buy a course or a growth plan for $748 or so, about $700. That was a lot of money to him back then. But he realized that, what, for me to grow, it is important for me to take intentional intentional steps. And then secondly is, because growth is not automatic, the second thing is that I need to also know how to grow. So really, when you bought the growth kit was talking about really 5 things. Like, he measured on 5 growth things. He measured on his attitude, the goals itself, the disciplines, the measurement, and then his consistency. Sounds very simple. Let me take that again. Attitude, goals, discipline, measurement, and consistency. It seems very simple. A lot of people are looking for the big things. You need to sound very intelligent and all of that. But the magic sometimes is just with the little things you're hearing. If you're able to practice it. John C. Maxwell says, outside of my faith, the decision to grow has impacted my life more than any other. Out of my faith, the decision to grow has impacted my life the most. John C. Maxwell. So you know what? Think about it. Think about this. So the third growth gap that may be impeding on your personal growth is the timing gap. It is not the right time to begin. You know that really there's a difference between deciding that you want to grow and actually doing what you need to grow. You understand? Sometimes when I have sessions with people, they say, "Oh, this is what I decide to do. This, that." And trust me, if you if you if you if you want to sleep well at night, don't tell me about your goals. Trust me, because I'm going to hunt you down and ask you questions and follow you up. And really, the serious people that are very serious about goals, they usually come for me and say, "Tosi, please, I need you to track me down on this goal. I really need to be sure that I'm up to speed all the time." So I had someone that was saying that, "Oh, I needed to do this," or generally when people tell me I need to do this and that, maybe just randomly when we see or over the phone, I'll just place a call. "Hey, nigga, how are you? Yo, man, what's up?" Or "Babe, what's up? How are you?" Then we talk, and I'm like, "Excuse me, so how is that going?" Sometimes some people cannot even remember that thing that they promised themselves, so not even you, that they were going to do. They really, when you say, "Oh, what about that?" Say, "Oh, yeah, oh, that." They can't even remember it. So when people say, "I need to grow, I'm going to grow, I'm going to do this," it's different from actually doing things. There's this American politician, Frank Clark. He says, "What great achievement we will have in the world if everybody had done what they intended to do." Everybody has a good heart. At least a lot of people say, oh, they have good intentions and all of that. But the thing is that thing which that you said you're going to do, are you really doing it? You understand? Beware of the law of diminishing intent. Oh, okay. So you remember that law in economics that says law of diminishing returns. So this one, it says law of diminishing intent. The law of diminishing intent says the longer you wait to do something you should do now, the greater odds you will never actually do it. The longer you wait to do something you should do now, the greater odds that you will never actually do it. Very, very important that once you decide to do something, there's no perfect time. There's really no perfect time, really. The reality of the matter is that it is when you don't even learn, even as much as you gather skills and everything, half of the times you learn on the job, you correct yourself and everything. Imagine that Mark Zuckerberg was like, let me understand the concept of Facebook before I do it. Yeah, so on your own, you will probably not even have Facebook, or someone would have gotten the vision and done it. So let's end this growth trap with this quote. This pro quote is by Professor Leo Boscaglia. Sorry, Professor Leo Boscaglia. He says, life lived for tomorrow will always be a day away from being realized. When you're already saying tomorrow, 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 you're always a day from being realized because you keep postponing. That's the truth. And if you want to postpone, life will give you a million and one reasons to really, really postpone things. So you know what? There's no perfect timing. Do it today. Today. Make sure you do it. Yeah, thank you. Let's talk about the fourth growth trap. The fourth growth trap that has a high tendency of stopping you from growing, impeding your growth, is the mistake gap. The mistake gap says, I am afraid of making mistakes. Okay. Robert Schuller says, what would you attempt to do if you knew you wouldn't fail? If you know the universe had given you all the assurance that you're not going to fail, what do you think you're going to do? And I think that stuff, you should actually think about it and do that thing. If you actually want to grow, you need to get over any fear of making mistakes. Warren Bennis says, Warren Bennis is an author and a professor. He asserts that a mistake is simply another way of doing things. Remember one of those famous scientists that says that, I think it's Thomas Edison that said that, oh yes, it's Thomas Edison that he said that you didn't just fail. He didn't fail 1,000 times. He only 10,000 times. He only determined 9,999, discovered 9,999 ways of not doing something. So really, if you are really going to grow, you really need to be open about to making mistakes. To become intentional about growing, you need to expect to make mistakes every day and welcome them as a sign that you're moving in the right direction. Okay, so the person that introduced this book to us, that like told us about this book, said something when he was talking. He said that, for example, you're going somewhere. Let me give a good example in Lagos, a place in Lagos State, Nigeria. So for example, you're on the mainland, Ikeja. Ikeja is the city's capital. Imagine that you're at Ikeja and you want to go to a hotel at VI. Those are popular places that people know. Or let's say you want to get to the Lekki toll gate. Yes, you're at Ikeja and you want to go to the Lekki toll gate. So you already left Ikeja, and the person that is waiting for you at the toll gate is calling you to ask you, hello, how are you? To say, how are you? I'm fine. Oh, have you gotten to, where are you now? And I say that I'm on Third Mainland Bridge. The person knows that, okay, all right, you're on course, although you haven't gotten there yet, but you're on course, you will get there in no time. But imagine me now saying that, oh, he says, Tosin, where are you? And I'll say, I'm at Redemption Camp. The person will be, that's like going all the way apart, like a different place. You're going outside Lagos already, you're going out of town. But then the thing is that even if I was even going out of town, the person just evaluate me and say, "Oh, okay, all right, that is actually not the right place to take. You need to take a turn, like drive back and then make your way back to Ikeja and then start heading towards the island." That's what I'm saying. So the thing is that there will always be mistakes. You will grow. I mean, there's really nobody that has really done anything successful in life that has said that growth is easy, there's no mistake, it's just smooth. That's a big lie. So expect to make mistakes. And if the reason you're not chasing your growth, your personal development, and everything is because you feel that you're going to make mistakes, please start today because you're going to make a lot of mistakes along the journey, along the way. Okay, so we have discussed four of those growth gaps, and I want us to reflect about this. It's a good time to maybe take this episode back, rewind it, and play it again and reflect on all of these growth gaps, so you maybe so that you can think about the ones that are your growth traps. You understand? Your growth traps, the reason you're not growing. um Reflect on them. Really, let's go on a quick break. We'll be right back to talk about the remaining four growth gaps in this chapter. Stay with us.
The plan path.
All right, everyone. Okay, hello everyone, welcome back. Okay, so the fifth growth gap, the fifth growth gap, you can also call it a growth trap, really. The growth trap be that may be impeding your personal growth. The growth trap is the perfection gap. Number five, the gap. The perfection gap says that I have to find the best way before starting. So stop finding the best way before you start your growth. um the best way to actually even find the best way is by doing, because all of those things are just a concept in your head until you get to the drawing board, you get to the field and you really do it. You would see it's like when you're going on, imagine you're driving late at night and you're going, even if you have the map, you have an idea, you have read books and everything, you have listened to mentors and all of that, you have an idea of what the old entire journey should look like. Maybe you have even been there before. Maybe this is something you're doing this for the second time or you're doing all over again. The truth of the matter is that as you're driving at night, even if you know the road or you are aware of the journey, you've listened to mentors and everything, you would only see progressively as you go. As you are driving, the headlamp will be, you understand, your headlight will be pointing you into direction and you'll be going into the night till you get to your destination. And that is how it is with growth. You would only see things progressively as you go, and if you want to see more of the way, you need to keep going, you need to keep going. And that's how the law of the perfection gap works. You don't need to wait for the right for to have everything figured out. Yes, it's good to listen to mentors and everything, but don't let analysis paralysis kill you. Be analyzing and never getting to that point. Do you have friends, do you know people around you or uncles that they will always have one great idea and everything, but ask them, okay, so what are you doing? You usually they don't really have concrete plans, to achieving their goals. I really respect people that in any way, maybe in any way, in any circumstance they are in, they're actually getting things done because they will learn. And once they have a global mindset, once they have a big picture mindset, they would grow in that thing that they are doing. So that is the fifth growth trap that may be impeding your growth. The sixth growth trap is the inspiration gap. I don't feel like doing it. Okay, real quick, let me give you a background story to this episode. For example, I slept and I woke up and I'd done about 5 takes before this one you're listening to. I've done about 5 takes and I'm excited to wake up, to quickly do this recording before I go in about my day and all of that. But the thing that happened while I was taking those tickets is that because I just woke up, I found myself yearning a lot. and I found and it wasn't nice to put that stuff, you understand, out. I found myself yawning a lot. The truth of the matter is that I would have probably just closed it and say, oh, maybe God does not even want me to do this, or me, I'm tired, self. Oh, is it not? You understand that kind of thing. If everybody is listening to their feelings, we will probably not. The world will not advance the way it is because our feelings are so fickle. Yes, we should obey. We should pay attention to our feelings and take care of ourselves. But then you can't make sound decisions by just I don't feel like it. It doesn't feel nice and all of that. You remember what Nike says? Just do it. And that's the real thing. The inspiration gap. I don't feel like doing it. That is not even going to be, because half of the time you won't feel like doing it. Life itself will even present you with a million and one excuses not to do it. My dad always says something. If you are looking for excuses to sin, you will find them in abundance. There are a million and one 50 trillion reasons why you shouldn't do anything. But if you focus on the opportunities that are ahead of you, you would find all of the reasons to do it, you understand? So motivation is not just like lightning. It will not just strike you and the universe will not just dump motivation on your laps. The truth of the matter is that you would have to even force yourself into do it and doing things you need to do. As you are doing it, the motivation will come. When I was younger, maybe my mom wants you to wash clothes. I'm like, I don't feel like doing so. My dad, mom will say, don't worry. My mom will say, Joko. She will say it in Yoruba, Joko, Mashelo. Inspiration, Yemawa. It basically means in English that don't worry, just keep doing what you're doing. Motivation, inspiration, that one will come. Just leave that one. Let's get to what you're doing first. There's this quote by a Harvard psychologist, Jerome Jerome Bruner says, "You are more likely to act yourself into feeling than to feel yourself into acting." Be acting, be doing what you're doing. The emotions will meet you there, but it's very unlikely that you just sit there and say, "Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it." Most likely, you just stay there and you never do that stuff you really wanted to do or you should be doing. So I'll say again to you, again I say unto you, do it, do it, do it, do it. Don't wait, oh really. It is not even good for you to wait at all. Before you know it, life will just go like that. Time will be going. Okay, so let's go on to the seventh growth trap. It is the comparison gap. Say others are better than me. Because in this life, let's even talk like seriously, like honestly, let's talk. As my students will say, apart, that means apparently, everybody, there's always somebody better than you, and there's always someone you are better than. So please, let's all leave all of this emotional growth comparison gap thing. Even if you see that people are better than you, it is not a call to start feeling bad about yourself and everything. If somebody is better than you, don't hate them. Use it as an opportunity to learn something for yourself that is going to help you in your personal life. You understand? It's an opportunity for you to learn. It is your race, so it is your life. Please run your race, live your life, and just do it. Do your thing. Number 8, which is the final growth trap we will be discussing in this book, the final growth trap that is here is called the expectation gap. Some people say, I thought it would be easy. Say, oh man, man, this thing ain't easy, man. The truth is that, is there anything easy? Growth does not come quickly, and climbing to the top is definitely not easy. And it doesn't just happen. When you see, people say, that person is lucky. Let me tell you what luck is. John Maxwell says, let him tell us what luck is, so that we too we can go cook our luck. Luck is when preparation, that is growth, is added to attitude, added to opportunity and action. That's doing something about it. That is the recipe for luck. So if you want to be lucky, go and concoct your own luck. That is preparation, that is growth, plus attitude, plus opportunity, plus action. You understand what I'm trying to say? Yes. If you want to reach your goals and fulfill your potentials, You must become intentional about your personal growth. Let's end this with a quote by Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn says, "You cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight." Let's go on a quick commercial break. We will be coming back to discuss how to transit to personal growth.
The Blonde Path.
All right, welcome back. This is Plant Path Podcast. Today we are discussing the book The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John C. Maxwell. Live it and reach your potential. All right, how to transit to personal growth? Four things here. Number one, ask yourself the big question. You know, Yorubas will say, my mom usually says something. She will say, pe ara ẹ sí ìpàdé tó ní ìrònú. In English, that means call yourself to a solemn assembly. Only you sit down with your 2 ears and ask yourself those big questions, those deep questions you are running away from. Ask yourself questions. You understand? Number two, do it now. So John Maxwell says that before you stand up every morning, before you get up in the morning, just say 50 times, do it now, do it now. Oluwatosin, do it now, do it now, do it now. If your name is John, John, do it now, do it now, do it now. If your name is Tolu, do it now, do it now, do it now. If your name is Jack, Jack, do it now, do it now, do it now. Say that 50 times and tell yourself, and you actually stand up and do it and get that thing that you need to do done. You understand? There's a word that is a dream killer that we need to be aware of. It's spelled Later. Later. Later has killed a lot of dreams. It has killed a lot of people. You remember the quote that we quoted earlier in this episode that by the American politician, I think the American politician, he says, yes, Frank Clark. Frank Clark says that if everybody could do what they intended to do, the world would have really been a better place. So do it now, really do it now. Don't let later and procrastination kill you. Then free yourself from fears. We all have fears in this life, and some fears are really valid. You understand? So John Maxwell says that there are 5 top fears that really prevent people from growing. Number one is fear of failure. Is fear of failure making you to understand to stop growing? Think about it. Fear of trading security for the unknown. Are you afraid to start that business or take that professional course because you don't know, or change your professional course as you always wanted to? Number 3, fear of being overextended financially. You want to stay safe financially. You don't want to live in uncertain times. You want everything to come sweet and certain. Number 5, fear of what others will say or think. Whether you do it or not, people will say or think. In fact, I should believe that there is nobody in this our podcast family that is actually still sitting down and thinking about what other people will say about them. Number 5, fear that your success will alienate your peers. I mean, if your success is threatening your peers, maybe you need to start finding new friends, really. So number 4 is changing from accidental to intentional growth. So we said 4 things: how to transit to intentional growth, ask the big question now, do it now, free yourself, face your fear factor, and we highlighted the 5 top fears that disrupt people from really pursuing their personal growth. The 4th one is that you should change from being accidental to intentional. Stop doing things haphazardly. Just make sure you are going after your growth. Okay, let's end this section with this. You should stop living and hoping to learn along the way. You must go out of your way to seek growth opportunities, as if your future depended on it. And the truth of the matter is that your future really depends on how much growth you're growing, like how much effort you're putting into your personal growth. Okay, so we're rounding up with these reflection questions. Listen to these questions, please, and ensure that you do something about them before you listen to the next law. You understand what I'm saying? The recommended thing is that you take a week to work on this, you understand, to reflect on these questions. As you are reflecting from today, you take a week to practice. Then when you listen to law 2, you now add, you understand, you keep adding till you get to law 15. So please and please pay attention to this reflection question. Number one, all of these 8 growth gaps, these 8 growth traps that you heard us discuss in these past few minutes, which of the growth gaps is your own monster? Is that thing that's been impeding your growth? Then ask yourself what you need to do to help you bridge those gaps that you can identify. Someone can say that is a mistake gap. I'm afraid of making mistakes. The person will now say, oh, for example, I need to do it today. I need to see mistakes. I need to change my perspective about mistakes and everything. Maybe download a few codes on mistakes, and from there, from that very first day, you now start paying attention and making sure that you're listening, you're doing those things you're supposed to do. Second thing you should do, reflection question. Then of course, in the first growth capping, you need to have specific plans for each of your growth gaps. So all of those gaps that you have identified in yourself, make sure you have specific plans to bridge them. The second thing is that how much time have you scheduled to your personal growth? This one is very, very important. I was saying this thing earlier about that if you really can't dedicate 1 hour, 1 hour that when you're on Instagram, you don't know when the time will go already. 1 hour that you can use it to do something that really has no bearing on your future. Those kind of things. So how much time are you dedicating? And people will say, I don't have time. Really, you don't have time for yourself? When you promise somebody they are going to go on a date or something, you really make sure that you show up. So make sure that you have every single day, every single time, you set an appointment with yourself and you show up for your personal growth daily. Very, very important. Number 3, and this is where we're going to round up for today. Start now. If you are listening to this thing even at 11 p.m. and the day is about rounding up, make sure you still put in that time and do something about your personal growth. Work on this action plan and apply it into something in your life. You need to start now. Your personal growth should not wait till tomorrow. You feel me? You understand what I'm saying? All right, so that was very good. That was very nice. That was a very nice, even as I was talking, it was nice to also reflect with you. I have my own plans written out, and trust me, I've started working on them and the results are amazing. I hope you do that as well. So we would see you when we talk about law 2, the second law of the second invaluable law of growth. We would be really looking forward to doing that episode. And good news, I think that we should have a guest on the show in our next episode. I'm excited about it. Thank you for listening on up to this point. Thank you for liking, for sharing with your friend. I mean, if you have a podcast like this, that there are book reviews, insightful conversations like this, you shouldn't just use them alone. You shouldn't just benefit alone. Send to that your friend. Send that link immediately. In fact, as you're listening, send to all of those people in your network that don't have time to read, that will benefit from listening to this podcast, And, be sure that sometimes you don't even need to create a special time to listen to this podcast. As you're doing your work, as you're driving, you're on the bus, you're on the train, you're in the airport, you're driving, you understand, or you're going anywhere. As you go about your day, just plug it in your ears and you start listening and ensure that you're taking action. So you like, you comment, you share. Thank you so much for your support, and we're really happy that we are adding value to you. You have feedbacks, please send us feedback on any of our social media platforms, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on Instagram. You can reach us at plannedpathc@gmail.com, plannedpathc@gmail.com. welcome. All right, it's been nice to host the show with you. My name is Oluwatosin Mugbaduade. Remember, this show is brought to you, sponsored by Plant Park Consult. Plant Park Consult is your place for training, for conversation, for research development, instructional design, counseling, consultations, everything education in schools, in offices, in public spaces, vocational schools, everywhere you can think education. We'll be excited to collaborate with you on your project and be at your learning spaces. All right, thank you so much. It's a privilege to be with you. My name is Oluwatosin again, and I'll catch you when next we are talking about the second law of growth. Have an amazing day. Bye.